Gary is currently the co-chair of the Connecticut Federation of Black Democratic Clubs. No one may know what the future holds, but whatever it may be, Gary always attempts to remember the words he said himself in a speech he gave, words that drive him forward. Those are, quote, history that is to be written tomorrow, to be read by our children, to serve as their guide is written in our actions today. A greater call to responsibility I have not known. I present to you, Gary.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I did not prepare anything because I believe that there's enough around us that will guide me. I like to talk about what's going on just from the heart. And this morning I was over at the Community Outreach Center, the COC, and there was a young man there who spoke, and he almost brought me to tears.
Take your time. It's all right.
Our young people out there dying on the streets, and some of them feel so hopeless, and sometimes it just really moves me.
Praise God.
And that's why I try to do the things that I do. You know, I grew up in the Bronx, in the projects. My father was a drug addict. My mother was a single mother. The only thing she had to give to us was the hope that someday we could do better than she had done. Our people have always existed on that hope. That hope is what has put us on our knees to pray to God that a better day would come for our children since the beginning of our time in this country. Thank you. That hope is what has led us to the 250 recorded and numerous other rebellions that we've had in this country since slavery. That hope is what got us through slavery and black codes and segregation. That hope is what has always kept us going. Today people are talking about the audacity of hope. That is not a message that should be something for us. We are people who, just by our very nature, are hopeful. We should have the audacity to organize. I was up here to talk about black history, and I want you to understand that black history and black power, organization is the key to black power. Organization is the key to any power. You cannot have power without being able to organize a mass of people. Our people have been for a long time in the business of mobilization and not organization. And there's a difference, and we don't understand that. Organization is a long-term. We're in mobilization. That means that we react to things. Stokely Carmichael talked about this once. He said that it was instinctual if we react to. For instance, you have a man that's shot in New York 50 times. People come out for that. They come out for that. Of course they come out for that. That's an event that raises your level of awareness of what's going on, for what's happening between those times, that allows us to get what we really want. That's the question that we need to ask ourselves. I spent some time a couple of months ago up at the State House talking to people about education. You should know that in Connecticut, the demographics of the state are changing. A lot of us don't really know that because, you know, we're really a minority in Connecticut. So we think of ourselves as never going to approach the level of population that will really make a difference. But in terms of the jobs that are going to be in the state of Connecticut, in terms of the people aged 25 to 29. Now you should know also that's the incoming age of educated people in the job force. People in that demographic, by the year 2020, half of them will be us. Now that's something a lot of us don't really think about. And so when we look at higher education, which has always, in terms of minorities, been strictly a minority issue, we have to say this is no longer a minority issue because it's going to affect the state. So we have to be a part of that conversation. We have to be a part of many conversations, but specifically we have to be a part of that conversation because there are going to be people, and there are people, there's a bill that just was written and introduced. There are people who are looking at this and saying, well, we need to change what's going on. But none of those people are us. None of those people are us because we're not organized, because we mobilize. And we won't know until 5 or 6 years down the road when they start to introduce the things that they want to happen. And then we'll react to it, of course. But what we say won't have as much weight as if we are organized right now. If we organize around the issues that concern us, then we can have the power that we need to affect a change. If we're up there and we're involved in that, and we have a direction that we're moving, everybody doesn't have to agree with everything that we're doing. That's one of our problems. We think everybody's got to agree with everything. We don't have to agree on everything. The core issues we all agree on. That's what needs to move us. I don't want to speak too long because I want to have a conversation, but I just want you to realize that organization, as they say, organization, organization, organization. And I'll tell you another reason why organization is important. This whole thing with Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, they're out there talking about black people don't think he's black enough. I don't remember when the black people said that first. I remember white media telling us that and us adopting that. I don't remember us saying that. You? Anybody remember us saying that? No. But because we're not organized and we don't understand how to organize ourselves in a direction, we're just following whatever is told to us, including something as dumb as that. Nobody should question how black Barack is. That's not really the question. You might ask the question, is he for our issues? Which is a completely different question. That's a question that needs to be asked. But you don't need to ask the question how black he is. You can look at the man and tell he's black. The question is, why would he be treated different also? White people come to our communities and they stand in front of our church and stand in front of the pulpit and we say, that's good enough. They play a saxophone and we say, that's good enough. I say, let Barack come play the saxophone and stand at the church. That's good enough for me then. Or it's not good enough for the white politician. We don't need to change the standard for Barack. We need to change the standard for everybody.
Thank you.
That's what we need to do. Please, organize. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. I felt your spirit when you were talking. Also, like he said, the key is organize, organize. I mean, that's the key. That's the key. One little short story. I'm from Chicago. We were born organized. Wake up.